Make way, there's a new boss on the track. Hi everybody and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 3D printed BMW M4 GT3 Motorsport. This is a file that I found on cults3d.com, and I printed it on my Elegoo Saturn 4 Ultra resin printer. I printed this on a larger scale, as you can tell, and having removed it from the supports, I give it its first inspection for defects or print failures, and this one has come out pretty true. So it gets a washing and a full curing under UV lights. Even though I use water-soluble resin, I still wear gloves. I often do a little bit of sanding on a resin print, but before you know it, it's ready for primer. As soon as that dries up, it's right back into the spray booth for a bright red base coat. This is the predominant color that I'm going to put down first. This is the gaahleri G82 airbrush. I'm using a 0.5 needle today because of the wider surface area. It's just right for this job. So, about 3D printing. I can find almost any file online that's already been created by an expert, and they're available for download by non-experts like myself, although I'm trying to improve my CAD design abilities. I can modify the 3D files if needs be to serve my purposes, and I like working on the larger scale. As I get better at this, I'd like to feature more of these on my channel. In all honesty, the 1:64 scale cars are hard to work on, but those are my channel roots and I don't intend to abandon ship completely. These bigger ones afford a much larger canvas and much more detail too. I switched airbrushes for this color change, and now the interior gets its base coat, but if you'll hang with me, there's going to be plenty of detail added a little bit down the road. I'm going to be wrapping up 2024 with a year in review video featuring all of my customs from this past year, and the final build is the 4 Horsemen Christmas theme. But we're soon into 2025, and I'm going to do my first Fury Road vehicle right off the bat as part of the Winter in the Wastelands 4. Here's another one of my inspiration picks. It's a model version of the M4 GT3. You can see that there are 4 colors involved. That's going to require some intricate masking and painting. It's going to be challenging, there's no doubt about it, but I'm methodically working through it step by step. Off comes the masking to reveal the black highlights that I put down. If there's any kind of overspray, if you get at it immediately, just a quick rub with a Q-tip takes care of that. That first stage went great. I'm getting some really crisp, sharp lines here. And that's tough because there's a lot of contours on the hood and the air intakes, etc. That's also the reason I do a little bit of the black highlights by hand brushing. It's just too hard to tape inside of those contours. So this does the same job, and if you're careful, you get great results too. Underneath the diffuser, all black, making that almost invisible when I'm finished the project. And the distinctive BMW front grille gets blacked out too. Today's community shoutout goes to 905 Diecast YouTube channel. It's a racing theme and they're based in Canada, which makes them extra cool. I'm doing the second masking job now. All of the exposed red is going to get a white treatment. Although it won't all remain white, it's also serving as a base to cover up some of the heavy red body color. Much of the white will be done over in yellow. I've switched to a 0.35 needle now because I've got a much smaller area to cover, and I can get in a little bit closer with my airbrush too. Let's see how that came out. Razor sharp. Oh, that's going so well. Nice. After each one of these color applications, I put the model into a food dehydrator and just let the warm air cure that for several hours. Then I clear coat the whole thing before I apply the masking again. There's a third round of that coming up real soon. So far, so good. I like the way it's shaping up. Okay, as promised, this is the third masking job, which is prerequisite to the fourth color application. I've got to follow the white lines exactly, and as I said, a lot of the white is going to be done over in yellow now, which would not have shown up well directly on top of the red. That's why I laid down the white base. Still working with a 0.35mm needle for the up close and accurate shots here. For the third nerve-wracking time, and yet satisfying if it goes well, off comes the masking tape. Now that's nice. Pretty cool, isn't it? Lots of decaling to come. The tires are 3D printed as well, of course, and they get some minuscule discs and pads to go with them. I'll paint those up separately, and when set in behind, you'll see those through the spokes. Hand brushing is sufficient for this. One more overview to show you the scope of what this decal job is going to look like. There are many different versions of this particular shell livery, so I'm doing some from the picture on the work mat and some from my laptop, which is just off to the side, with lots of Google images loaded on it for reference. The BMW M4 GT3 is the race car version of the G82 BMW M4, homologated under the FIA Group GT3 category. It's intended to be a successor to the BMW M6 GT3, racing from the 2022 season. The M4 GT3 uses a race prep variant of the inline-six from the road car. Features changed from the road-going version of the car include widened fenders and bodywork, more angular styling for the hood, exhaust exits just after the passenger side front wheel on the right side of the car, inlets on the sides of the wider rear fenders, and a gooseneck-mounted spoiler and rear diffuser to manage the airflow. Additionally, the steering wheel can be used in race simulators without modifications. An Evo version of the M4 GT3 was announced at the 2024 Nürburgring 24 Hours, with the car featuring new side mirrors, new head and tail lights, and larger air inlets as well. I've made some small decals in my 5 years in this hobby, but I can't imagine doing these little ones on an even smaller 1:64 scale car. Each application makes it a step closer to realizing the finished look. It's getting there. Van der Linde is the name of the South African driver for this particular version of the GT3. Look at that. Alright, now for some color and detail on the interior, which is nicely printed. I'll start with red on the fire extinguisher and the seat back cover and the gear shift handle. Roll cage in white. And I'm going to try to get all around those cage posts without hitting the block. Little touch-ups are required. No biggie. I cut all the glass, front, back, and sides out of a piece of clear plastic from a takeout food container. They're fastened in by the corners with some resin. The final assembly is really just flipping over the body, which has now been clear coated several times for a super shiny effect, and dropping the printed interior in place. It's printed to fit just right, and it does. Snug is better than loose any day. I've added the chassis and the printed wheels with axles that I had to fabricate. There's the rear spoiler, side mirrors are on. We'll pan across one more pic of the commercial model. And let's have a closer look at my version of the 3D printed BMW M4 GT3 Motorsport. Quite a bit of extra time was put in on the hobby bench during my usual 1 week allotment for each project, but it came out looking pretty nice, I think. Good rotation on the tires, it does roll nicely. I put some antennae on the roof, accurate decals with a couple of extra Maple Leaf Customs ones. Here it is again, just hatched out of the printer. There's the final result. What a transformation, and a very satisfying project for me, the model builder, to end up with something that looks this nice. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I had fun putting it all together. I invite you to leave your respectful comments below and tell me where you're watching from. Thanks again, as always, for visiting my channel. I really do appreciate it. Come on back soon and often. It's coffee time.